Pizza proudly present Real Boxing with legendary fight trainer Ronnie Shields.
Guys, welcome. Happy Tuesday to everyone, and I'm so happy to announce that we have the return of legendary fight trainer, the incomparable Coach Ronnie Shields. Ronnie, how are you today, sir?
Doing great, man. Doing great.
Oh, guys, and I hope you don't mind the new theme song because we have a milestone. And once again, we were planning on celebrating it 2 weeks ago, but obviously Coach Ronnie couldn't have made it back then. Now he's in full strength again. So, guys, we are celebrating today our 10-year anniversary of doing a radio show together. How do you like that, Coach Ronnie?
Yeah, that's fair.
Back on humble.
Years.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Can you believe it? I'm now, well, a century or half a century on this earth. My word. I was just a spriteful youngin' in this business back then. And it was back on the old East Side Boxing. Now it's Boxing News 24. And our show was called The Pugilist Corner back then.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. But I tell you what, Rodney Green, he was here 2 weeks ago, and he was planning on being here today. He couldn't make it, but he just wanted to say, happy 10 years, Coach Ronnie. And he said, you truly are a gentleman in this brutal ass-beating business. So thank you for doing the show for 10 years, sir. It's been a pleasure, and we look forward to 10 more. Yeah, I tell you what, Coach, congratulations this past weekend. Your man, David Morrell, boy, he took care of business, had some resistance. And well, he was a good fighter, Calvin Henderson. But your man, boy, he sure put him out, getting the TKO in 4. What were you telling him between rounds? Yeah, on his way, because it looked like he just really wanted the knockout, but you gave him kind of a what for between rounds.
Yeah, you know, he was excited. You know, every time he fights in Minnesota, it's like his adopted home now.
Yeah.
So he he really wanted to put on a show for the fans, but I told him you got to be careful. I just settled him down a little bit. Told him just pick his shots. And he did that. And eventually, look, the guy was tough.
Yep.
Calvin Henderson is a really tough fighter. Did a lot of homework on him. Saw, guards real high. So we had to kind of break him down a little bit, get the guards down. And, once David did that, he started hitting him with some real clean shots. And, the referee stepped in and stopped it. It was a good stoppage, but I thought David did great. He just got a little excited in the first round.
Oh yeah, I tell you what, he took care of business though. He looked tremendous, and afterwards, well, he went ahead and called out. He did what he was supposed to do, and he called out the big guys, the big guns at 168 pounds. But then I just read on Boxing Scene an interview with you. And, well, this is what you had to say, and I'd like you to clarify this. You said, well, right now, quote, and this is Mr. Ronnie Shields, he said, right now, I think we just got to be real picky on who we fight and let this kid continue to grow. He's only 24 years old. He's a baby in boxing years, and I think we have to let him grow. And once he finishes growing, I'm willing to bet he'll be a light heavyweight soon. It's unbelievable how this kid trains. He loves it, and that's what you want. And I don't want to discourage him in any way. I don't want to put him in with something or someone maybe he's not ready for, It's going to be a wait and see thing. Of course, it ain't going to be my decision, but I do have input, end quote. And once again, this is your years of experience. You don't want to discourage. Can you expound on that concept?
Yes, absolutely. The thing about it is, he is 24 years old, but so are David Benavidez. And some of the other guys that are out there around that age. But understand, this kid that was his 7th fight. So, and these guys have way more fights, way more experience. And, and I just feel right now that David, I think, if you let fighters grow into them becoming who they're going to beat, then, you know, they're going to be so much better for the sport of boxing. Instead of rushing, you know, why rush to do anything? And if it made sense to fight, say, like a guy like a David Benavidez, if it made sense, you know, you beat David Benavidez, and then you go to Canelo and say, hey, we just beat Benavidez. He's going to say so.
And there it is. Yeah.
So, you know, and then he'll start saying, well, nobody knows the kid, you know, then they start making excuses. And, you know, so why go up and fight and beat somebody when you can't get the fight that you really want?
That's correct. That's absolutely right. And look, it's not like he's one of these guys who has had an amateur career, right? Like a guy like Vasyl Lomachenko, a guy like Artur Beterbiev, who you wanted to, almost you needed to, because they were already pushing 30 by the time they turned pro, right? Alexander Usyk, Gvozdyk, and even right now, Bahadur Jalilov, who's almost 28 years old, right?
Right.
Who's going to be fighting on Showbox this Friday. Can't wait to see that. He's going to be a beast. But guys, let's give our greetings to our very dear friends, our extended family members in the chat. Our brother Young Bill, he says, sorry, Joe, I'm at the airport, but great to hear, Coach, and congrats on the win, Uncle Ronnie. I tell you what, Young Bill, we're going to miss you on this show, but thank you for being part of the chat and have fun. I think you're going to Philly. Is that correct? Be safe, brother, and have fun, man. Speaking with Kingpin, I'm sorry, Boots, Kingpin Boots, he's going to be visiting with. Also want to give a shout out to our brother Pounds. He says, salute Joseph and Coach Ronnie, monster. Yes, that's a big story of the day. We're going to dive into that in just 1 second. Also, our brother Jonathan Simon, blessings, Joseph and Coach Ronnie. Congratulations last weekend with the fight, Coach.
Thank you.
Peter Von Arx, our brother. Good evening, Joseph and Coach Ronnie. Good evening to you, my friend. Our brother also here to there. Salute to Mr. Heron and the incomparable Coach Ronnie. Congrats on another top performance in Minnesota. See, we were all watching, Coach.
I see that. That's great.
And also, Ignorant Boxing. Which one of Ronnie Shields' pupils is going to have the courage to fight Benavidez next? Oh, you know we're going to talk all about that, IB. You know we're going to talk all about that. Let's see. And there it is. Also want to give a shout out to our brother Not. Salute to you, my friend. Also want to give a shout out to our brother Mini Meal. Hi, Ronnie. Hi, Joe. Hello to you, my friend. Also, our brother El Pinche Ponch. Salutes to you, my friend. I tell you what, Coach, but today, the big story, the monster from Japan, Naoya Inoue, makes light work of, Be Still My Heart. And this one actually hurt because, yeah, we're very close with Nonito Donaire. He's become a very, very dear friend to Young Billy Boxing as well as H Money. And it's a gentleman that I've been covering for, 15 years now. And that's Nonito Donaire and a future Hall of Famer. I'll tell you what, Coach. Did you see this one coming? I mean, even though Nonito Donaire is age 39, no one's ever done this to Nonito Donaire. How special was this performance by Naoya Inoue?
You know, just watching that fight, you know, I just really got a chance to watch it, you know, today. And, you know, I mean, right from the very beginning, you know, he made sure Donaire was not going to be in the fight right from the very beginning. And, you know, he's a very smart young man. And he's a really good fighter. And I've seen him fight before, but I really thought from Donaire's last performance, I really thought Donaire was going to really be up to this fight. And, man, you know, but Inoue just took him out. You know, he hurt him. Every time he hit me with a clean shot, he hurt him. And I think it's time for Donaire to say goodbye, before he gets hurt.
Oh, boy.
He has nothing to prove. He's already did everything he was supposed to do. And at 39 years old, I think, now's the time for him to say, you know what, man, I've had a great run. I've done all I can do. And because, look, Inoue's not going anywhere. He's going to be there for a long time. And it don't make sense for him to make another run against him again.
No, it sure doesn't. And, when looking at the first knockdown at the tail end of the first round, it looked like he was expecting a left hook. He turned his head, and as soon as Naoya Inoue saw that his head was turned, he threw a short, compact, straight right hand to the temple, never saw it coming, and down he went, and he just never recovered. And that happens in boxing, doesn't it, Ronnie?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Did this guy, look, they did their homework. They saw every move that Donaire make. They knew it. And you could just see, he had the right hand waiting on it. It was waiting on him. And, he just had his number. And, and Donaire could do nothing about it.
Yeah, you know what? You could see that he was laser focused as soon as he came into the theme from Kill Bill. My goodness. And, and once again, this is what Nonito had to say after the fight regarding that first knockdown. He said, quote, "When I got hit, I didn't even know I got dropped. I didn't see that punch because I was trying to counter him and got caught. That was pretty much it. I'll pretty much say that was the hardest punch I've ever been hit with. That first knockdown, I came up completely blank. I didn't see that punch coming at all. And no, his head was turned. You go back and look at the replay. He says, quote, "I didn't even know what happened. I was trying to counter. All of a sudden, I was on the floor, and referee Michael Griffin was counting. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Are you kidding me? Then I looked in the corner, and Rachel said, 'Put your hands up or he'll count you out.' And I'm like, oh, shit, I just got dropped."
Wow.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of, and Nonito, once again, being the champion that he is, he says, it is what it is. He's a great fighter, and I'm very grateful that I'm healthy and able to talk about it right now with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because, look, being in the ring with that guy with 8-ounce gloves, well, that's no joke, is it, Coach?
Absolutely not. This kid can punch, and he's just such a good fighter.
Yeah, so, something tells me it's going to come up later on during Fact or Fiction. But I will say this. It almost reminds me of Mickey Bay Jr. And this is when I was, and this is about 10 years ago, I was on the undercard of, I think, a Chavez Jr. fight in Top Rank. I think it was the fight with Peter Manfredo Jr. He was on the undercard, and he was fighting the always tough Hector Velasquez. Right? Guy who can take your best shot and keep coming and putting hard pressure. Well, Mickey Bay Jr., boy, he was skating around the ring, pitching a shutout, and then all of a sudden, boom, here comes an overhand right, puts him on the canvas. Afterwards, I speak to him, and he goes, yeah, I was winning the fight. He ended up winning the fight, but he almost got knocked out in the process, and it was just an 8-round fight. And in the 7th, he got floored. He got up, and he said, all of a sudden, he goes, I was winning the fight, just skating, jabbing him, and then all of a sudden, I'm in the corner, the ref is looking at me, and he's counting, and I'm like, oh, wow, I got knocked down. And so he was trying to just finish the fight on impulse power. Have you ever been in that situation, Coach Ronnie?
No, fortunately, I've never been in that situation. But I've seen that situation a lot.
Oh, boy. That's no fun. That's no fun to be in. And, yeah, Mickey Bay was like, wow, I didn't even know what happened. And that's the situation with Nonito Donaire. So I will say this. Congratulations to Naoya Inoue. Boy, he is just proven that he is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in boxing because, once again, even at age 39, no one has ever done that to Nonito Donaire.
No, absolutely not.
So I tell you what, in the past 3 fights, okay, within 1 week, we've seen 3 pound-for-pound performances in Devin Haney, Cool Boy Stephen Fulton, and Naoya Inoue, in your mind, Coach, who had the most impressive performance of all three?
Oh, easy anyway. Easy. You know, he had the hardest fight, number one.
Mm-hmm.
But he just took care of business.
Yep.
And, you know, I mean, you know, we could say Donaire's 39, but, you know, when you looked at his last fight, he looked 22, you know?
Yep.
And, I mean, he really looked sharp. He really looked good. But this kid was just too much for him. And that's, you know, in boxing, you know, everybody have their time in this sport. And we have to take the good with the bad. And,
yeah,
you know, and unfortunately now, you know, I mean, I really and truly hope that Donaire say, you know what, this is it. You know, I've done everything, you know, that any fighter could possibly want to do in the sport of boxing. And he has, and, you know, and I just wish he'd go out now and, you know, spend time with his family now.
Indeed, with his two sons, he and Rachel. And yeah, he's got a future in this sport, training young fighters and giving back to the sport of boxing. Lending his wisdom to all of these young fighters. And he's going to be an excellent trainer in years to come. But here's a very interesting question from here to there, Coach. He says, Coach, thoughts on Inoue versus Fulton after Inoue takes care of Butler? I think it's pretty funny how you go ahead and give him the undisputed after he takes care of Butler. I think that seems to be the consensus. But once again, it is the theater of the unexpected. But yeah, Butler is going to be, I mean, and once again, Butler says he wants this fight. Credit to him for, you know, wanting that fight, because I don't know who on earth after that would want Naoya Inoue. But that raises a very interesting question. At 122 pounds, who wins, Coach? Cool Boy Steph or the Monster?
I have to say the Monster.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, oh, geez. Would you care to expound on that theory, though?
Yeah, Steph is a good boxer, but he doesn't have a punch to keep Inoue off of him. And, you know, he may come out and win a few rounds because of his boxing ability. But when Inoue start putting the pressure on him and start throwing them bombs at him, that's going to be, you know, something I don't think he can get away from, number one, you know. But, you know, it's something that we have to wait and see because, you know, Steph is Fulton is a really, really good fighter. And he, you know, he boxes pretty good. He got good feet movement, everything. Maybe he could stay away for a little bit, but I just don't see him staying away for 12 rounds. I just don't see it.
Yeah, you know what? And once again, credit to Cool Boy Steph for putting forth a clinic and learning from all of his mistakes against Brandon Figueroa, correcting all of that, and pitching a virtual shutout against a very good technical fighter like Daniel Roman, former champion. And he looked terribly impressive. And that was your main event of the evening on Showtime this past Saturday. You got to see it front and center. Were you a bit surprised that he, chose to put the dog in the doghouse and fought a very smart tactical fight this time?
No, I mean, you know, look, you know, styles make fights in this sport. And, you know, you have to do what's best for you, you know. And I think this time he realized, man, what am I trying to prove out there? You know, I'm such a good boxer. You know, let these guys come to me. Let me hit these guys, get out of the way, counterpunch, you know, use my feet, you know. And that's what he did. That's what he did on Saturday night against Daniel Roman. And, you know, and he looked really good doing it. And that's the way he has to fight.
Yeah, if he wants to actually go some rounds with Naoya Inoue, he's going to have to use that lateral movement. Right. Want to give a shout out to our brother Q to God. Thank you for joining us, sir. Also want to give a shout out to our brother Dick Justice, who says, Mr. Shields, spitting facts. Inoue will beat Fulton. Well, that's what he does on this show. Spits facts, sir. Jeez. Inoue gives me Super Saiyan vibes. Holy cow. Yeah, he's supernatural almost, isn't he? He seems that way. Have you ever, like, how many guys throughout history have you seen at 122 punch like that?
No, they're not that small.
No.
Not that small. I've never seen anybody punch that hard.
I mean, at 5'5", you could conceivably see him carrying that power up to lightweight, couldn't you?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt.
Ooh.
Without a doubt.
Well, Peter Von Ark says Butler, Inoue's next fight, or should I say next victim? Oh, boy. Well, I tell you what, let's move on now at 22 minutes after the hour. Let's move on to, the big story at 135, and that was Devin Haney pitching a virtual shutout, making light work of George Kambosos Jr., becoming the undisputed lineal lightweight champion. Coach Ronnie, you saw this coming. You even stated this several months ago.
Yeah, I just thought, look, let me tell you something, man. Devin Haney is a good boxer. And, and that's what it is. People say, oh, he can't punch, he can't do it. But he can box. And, and that's what he did. And to go all the way over to Australia and to put on a clinic the way he did, that's the way it has to be done. It's not about, people think you have to be macho to go in and always knocking somebody out. Boxing is an art. And this kid proved it the other night by doing what he was supposed to do. He counterpunched when he had to counterpunch. When it was time for him to take the lead, he was very smart to use his jab. And, and he didn't give Kambosos an opportunity to set on his punches. Kambosos couldn't get anything off because something was always in his face. And he was always, whenever he gets started, bam, 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 and then, the target was gone. So that was a very smart fight. And I'm so happy that the kid's father got there on time.
Yeah, you had to feel good for Team Haney and his dad being there, not only to be a corner, but also to be able to celebrate post-fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations to Team Haney. We look forward to, seeing if, George Kambosos follows through with the rematch. Something tells me that's going to come up in Fact or Fiction later on, Coach. So afterwards, Australian, pressure fighter Jeff Fenech had this to say. Coach, you remember Jeff Fenech, don't you?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, one of the best pressure fighters of the past, 3 decades?
Absolutely.
He said this, quote, "If it were me in Kambosos' corner, I would have been screaming my head off. If you're going to win, you've got to throw punches. Throw punches in bunches. George took risks and got rewards against Teofimo Lopez. In this fight, he didn't do anything. They must have known that was Haney's game. That's how he wins fights. He hits and doesn't get hit. But with George, there was no urgency in the corner. I guarantee you tell George to do something with urgency, he's the kind of warrior, he goes and does it, but they just told him to box along. Round 10 and 11, they have to tell him, you've got to knock him out to win," end quote. That raises a very interesting question. In your mind, Coach, should they hire Jeff Fenech as co-trainer or chief second to prepare him for the rematch?
Well, I don't know, man. The thing about that is, if it's going to be animosity in the camp, you can't have that in the camp.
Yes.
All that does is hurt the fighter, And, maybe Jeff shouldn't have come out so strong the way he did, and not come out at all, actually. Say that to them privately, and you get a better reaction then. And maybe they will say, well, maybe you can come and help us. But when you go out in public first and criticize, then they don't want to make it look like, hey, no, we don't need you. We don't need your help.
Well, I do. Well, I tell you what, they would do a lot worse. They could do a lot worse than hiring Jeff Fennick as a consultant or something. I mean, because to be honest with you, Coach, what did you think about that strategy or lack of it to fight Devin the Dream Haney on Saturday night?
Yeah, I mean, it was like they just thought if he goes the distance, he's going to just win. I mean, that's the attitude. Looked like they had in the corner. But like you say, it was no urgency until the last couple of rounds. I tell fighters, and fighters know this, right? I tell my fighters all the time, listen, if you won a round, if you know the same, we're looking at the same thing, right? We're all looking at the same thing. You don't have to come to the corner to me and look at me like, oh, I won that round. You already know if you won or you lost it.
Well, you know what? You know what's funny though, Coach? Because Emmanuel used to say, well, his fighters seem completely oblivious to as to who won that round. Because sometimes, well, and I'll bring up a specific case he was telling me about, God rest his soul. He was saying Jermaine Taylor in the first Kelly Pavlik fight he was telling him, hey, you're losing the fight now. He's taking control of this fight and he's getting confidence and he's coming forward and pressing the action. He's winning the fight now. And he said Jermaine Taylor looked at him and said, you're crazy. And how do you think Emmanuel reacted after that?
Oh, I know how you react.
But so, it maybe isn't that cut and dried, but I will say this. Kambosos after the fight looked, well, ostensibly embarrassed.
Yeah.
And he was smiling like, yeah, this wasn't supposed to happen. In your mind, does the rematch actually happen? Or does Uncle Bob step in and offer him some step-aside money and try to put together Haney versus Lomachenko?
Oh, absolutely. That's what Bob is going to do. Bob absolutely makes nothing on the rematch. All his cards over Lomachenko. So, that's where it's at, and of course, he's not rooting for Haney, he's rooting for Lomachenko.
Oh boy.
That's where the money is. The money's in Lomachenko, not in Haney. And, but I think Kambosos, he should think about that and say, you know what? I've won the title before. I can win it again. So maybe I will take this step aside money as long as I'm guaranteed the winner.
Well, that's interesting. You know what? And that's the smart play. But does his pride allow it, Coach?
Well, his pride better allow it. Because he can't win a back-to-back fights against Devin Haney. Simple as that.
And there it is. Because, you don't expect him to add those new wrinkles to his fight game in just one camp, do you?
Absolutely not.
Nope. And there it is. Antonio Luna, our brother. Thank you for coming on the show, Antonio. Always welcome, brother. He says Haney holds and clinches too much.
And you know what? Muhammad Ali did too.
So I guess the dream is in good company. Something tells me, brother Antonio, well, put some long green on the wrong man. Better luck next time, Antonio. Oh, Chingao. Oh, geez. A wise guy says yes. Smart plan, Ronnie Shields. Yep. Well, his years in the industry and in this business, well, yeah, he's gonna give you the right move. Our brother Jimbo, welcome to the show. He says Inoue put on a much better pound for pound level performance than Haney or Shakur over the last few months. Fans want blood and violence. Calmate, sir. Calmate. And that means take it easy in Spanish, Jimbo. But yes, he's absolutely correct. If you want to put asses in seats, You want to get the notice of the mainstream and casual sports demographic. Yeah, knockouts sell. That was a huge, huge staple of, the late great Emmanuel Stewart. He was a staunch supporter of knockouts. Yeah. Can't argue with that. But David Morrell would tell you something about that, wouldn't he?
That's right.
I tell you what, Coach, congratulations. You really have a blue chipper on your hands, sir. When is the last time you've had a prospect like David Morrell Jr., sir?
Wow. Got to go back a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So not only do you have David Morrell Jr., but now you've got at the Ronnie Shields gym the Croatian sensation, Filip Hrgovic. Woo-woo!
Yes, sir.
At heavyweight, my word, what's it like with a disciplined, hard-nosed, genuine, two-fisted badass like Filip Hrgovic? How is it working with him in the gym, sir?
Oh, it's great, man. He's really a good guy. He gets along with everybody. He clowns. Just a regular person. Clowns a lot. But when it's time to work, his focus is on the job.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a really good guy to work with. He's a big guy. He's a strong guy. But the thing that I like about him is, he's willing to try different things. And in this sport, that's what you have to do. When a person is so used to doing one thing all the time and afraid to change is what makes you a world champion. When you're able to change. And he's willing to do that. And, I'm showing him things that, he's, not reluctant to try, but, he wants to do it. And you see it every day in the gym that, he's trying to get it. And he lets you know, I'm trying, coach, I'm trying. And that's the thing that I really like about Filip. He's not afraid. He's not afraid of something new that he's never done before.
Wow. Yeah, we look forward to it. And I tell you what, I know you guys are going to be dialed in this Friday on Showbox because I see your future opponent going to be taking on Jack Mulawai in his Showbox debut in Verona, New York. Bahadir Jalilov. Oof. Former gold medalist, 10-0 with 10 knockouts. Boy, in my opinion, I can see Filip Hrgovic fighting Bahadir Jalilov in a couple of years for the vacant WBC Heavyweight Championship. Can't you see that, Coach?
Well, our plans are much sooner than that. Because we're fighting in an eliminator on the undercard of Joshua and Usyk. So
wow.
Yeah, in Saudi Arabia, look like.
August 20th. Is that the date now? August 20th.
Man, I'm still here in July 23rd. Then I'm here in August 20th. They back and forth with these dates. So we still don't know, actually.
You know what, Coach? That's a genuine area of concern, right? If you're on this card, and you're trying to train your guy, right? Because we've been through this before. Last year at this same time, we heard Eddie Hearn. We hope to have an announcement within the next week. Okay, yes, we're getting money. It's going to be in the Middle East. And we've heard this before. What's the problem, Eddie?
It's the same thing over and over and over, man. The fighters don't know. Nobody knows.
My word, yeah. Because when I just heard from my gentleman at DAZN, he's saying, yep, it looks like it's going to be August 20th. And I'm like, are you sure? And he told me the same thing. No one is certain. Yeah. So what is the problem here? It's like you're going to have to – look, I understand that these guys need to get paid and they deserve to get paid, but come on. You can't be stringing everyone along like this. Yeah. Goodness gracious. So here to there has the beat. He says, Filip and Coach Ronnie, equals bad things for the heavyweight division.
That's right.
Yes. Oh, geez. My word. And I tell you what, Coach. I want to give a shout out to our brother, Tony Boswell. Much respect. Warweek Radio in the chat. Stopped in to show support and hit the like button. Thank you, sir. Salute to you, my friend. Just got home from work. Well, thank you for joining us after work, sir. It's much appreciated. There's no better way to spend your evening than to chat with Coach Ronnie Shields. Tell you what, that's a wonderful evening in my book. So I tell you what, guys, we have a lot more show to go, but we do have to hear from a couple of our sponsors at this time. Our first sponsor is HOF Texas, 18 locations in the greater San Antonio area.
Keeping up with daily activities can be tough with age, and even tougher when the little things are more difficult than they used to be. At HOF Texas Primary Care Doctors, we are by your side for all your life stages. Our board-certified primary care doctors get to know you on a personal level and learn all the special things that make you, you. For over 25 years, our healthcare team has built a long-standing relationship based on quality and trust. At HOF Texas Primary Care Doctors, you are more than the appointment.
We want to thank HOF Texas for providing the medical assistance and the doctor on site for our last card in San Antonio, Texas on May 28th. Guys, and once again, that's where all of our fighters are now getting their medicals at HOF Texas, 18 locations in the greater San Antonio area. And we want to thank them for always supporting Warweek Radio and now supporting Real Boxing with Coach Ronnie Shields. Thank you so much. I tell you what, Coach, it's about that time, almost 40 minutes in. Are you ready for the latest edition of Fact or Fiction, sir?
Let's do it.
Here it goes. Number one, Fact or Fiction. Naoya Inoue replaces Terence Crawford atop the pound-for-pound list with his second-round TKO of future Hall of Famer Nonito Donaire Jr. Fact or Fiction?
Fiction.
Oh! ¿Por qué, señor?
Well, here's the thing, right? Man, you know, that thing is so much politics involved in this pound for pound stuff, you know, and it's nobody going to fight for Inoue. Nobody is going to fight for him to get there, you know, and not that he doesn't deserve it now. It's not that he doesn't deserve it, but you know, but I could really see him getting up to at least number 2. You know.
Well, I tell you what, I love me some Bud Crawford, but until he signs on the dotted line and fights Errol Spence Jr.,
yeah,
Naoya Inoue is my pound for pound number 1, sir. But I tell you what, you're absolutely right. Look, you could go with the top 5, and you could just mix and match either one of those guys, and you could make a strong case for them being the number 1 fighter. Errol Spence Jr., Arthur Beterbiev, Naoya Inoue, Canelo Alvarez, Terence Crawford, right?
And Jermall Charlo.
And Jermall Charlo. Thank you very much, sir. Woo! I tell you what. And so, Coach, before we move on any further, can you please give us an update on your WBC middleweight champion, Jermall Charlo? Because we were all, well, very concerned and taken aback when we got the press release from PBC.
Yeah, you know, he called me up yesterday, and I was on my way to coach training, and you know, he told me he was running, and he said, "Man, I fell. You know, he stepped in a hole or something, and he went down, and his back. You know, he said, "Man, my back." He said, "You know, man, I was just in so much pain." So when I get to his house, you know, he was trying to sit down and relax, but I could see the pain in his eyes, you know. And I just told him, "Look, man, the crazy thing about this sport is that injuries happen all the time in this sport. And fighters, you know what? They push through and don't say a word sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and myself included, when I was a fighter, I fought through so many injuries, but I remember one time I had a huge fight coming up, and it was something that I really needed in my career at the time, but I hurt my elbow, and I was in so much pain I couldn't do nothing about it. So my manager said, "Look, man, I'm not letting you go in there with one arm. You're not going to do that." So he ended up pulling me out. But just like so many fighters that I know, they, you train hard, you want to put on a great performance for the fans, and you just want to do the best you possibly can, and then all of a sudden, here come an injury, and but it's not just boxing; it's all sports. It happens. It's one of them things that we have to live with, and injuries are going to always be there. We're not going to ever be able to get rid of injuries. We just got to hope that just don't happen at the time when you really prepared for your fight.
Yeah, that's why it's so difficult, guys, to pick fights, because all of these brave, gallant fighters, they all fight through injury, and they all make it to the fight unless it's serious. Unless it's serious and they can't fight, they all fight through injury. And why? Because they don't get paid unless they make it to the ring. That's it.
Right.
Okay,
That's right.
Ronnie, there's something brewing right now in the chat that I have to deal with, right? And once again, Jordan, okay, don't make me put you in timeout, my friend. Welcome to the show, but come on, attempt to be cool, my friend. He says, "Cool boy Steph will school that boy Inoue easy 9-3." And wise guy says, "Well, can you ask Ronnie Shields if he thinks Inoue would beat Fulton? I personally think Inoue would stop Fulton." Well, he's already addressed that. Welcome to the show, a little bit late, but Coach Ronnie, well, he's already given the gospel according to Ronnie about who would win that fight. Ronnie, would you care to repeat that, sir?
Yes, I say Inoue. I think Inoue is too strong. Steph is a great boxer. He really is. But he doesn't have enough power to keep Inoue off of him. And, and I just, that's just my opinion. I just think Inoue will win.
Look, if Cool Boy Steph thought Brandon Figueroa was tough,
yes,
buckle up. Okay, buckle up.
It's
and
a different level.
And if you think that you know boxing better than, the legendary fight trainer himself, you're on the wrong channel, sir. But hey, thank you for visiting. And there it is. So, Coach Ronnie, we go to number 2. Jermall Charlo will elect to move up to 168 pounds rather than reschedule his June 18th date with Magic Sulecki later this year. Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Oh!
Oh no, he definitely, look, he definitely wants this fight. Definitely, and once he take care of Magic Sulecki, then he wants to wait, and he wants to see what's up with Triple G. He got 2 belts, and and that's his goal. He wants to try to unify with Triple G.
Wow. Yes, we just heard from Jermall Charlo earlier today. And once again, he's devastated that he can't make his long-awaited homecoming on June 18th. I know young Bill and I were looking forward to making the trip up there. But this is what he had to say. He said this regarding the winner of Canelo versus Triple G3. You know what? I want the winner. Everyone knows I want the winner. Whoever the winner is, feed them to me. End quote. Well, you got to love his confidence, Ronnie. But realistically, when you look at the boxing politics, and once again, very difficult when these promoters have these exclusive contracts with these networks. Realistically, how difficult is it going to be to get him that assignment?
It's going to be hard, man. It's going to be tough. It's going to really be tough, because, You know, unless the networks are willing to do a split on a pay-per-view, then then they don't want to hear. I mean, it's simple as that. And so it's just a way to see. And fans sometimes don't think that these fighters want to fight each other, but they just don't understand the business.
Yep.
And how things work. And some fights can't be made. And when the fight can't be made, then you have to just push on. Simple.
That's it. That's it. And it's impossible. And once again, fans, you cannot fault the fighters. Okay? These guys are fearless and they want to fight the best. Ronnie, as a coach, a former fighter, coach, how painstaking is it when you're seeing these other guys get these opportunities, these guys get undisputed opportunities, and you're there, you can't even unify the weight division because of the politics of boxing?
It's very frustrating. It really is. Because, again, you have to be really involved in everything in order to understand what's going on. When you have a contract with a network, and that network, they want to show you, but because somebody else have a contract with another network, they want to show you too. And it made sense back then when Lennox Lewis fought Mike Tyson. It really made a lot of sense.
That's right.
But this is not that. This is
now.
And unfortunately, it's not. So you got to have networks that really want to bend a lot, and you asking a lot of these networks to do that. Because they spend a lot of money, and and their job, these executives that has these networks, they have a job to make money for that network. So, and they can't be losing a lot of money because then they're gonna lose their job. So it takes a lot, man, to put these fights together, and the fans don't understand that. But but the business, it is what it is. That's the business. And you take the good with the bad. When it's good, you got to take it. When it's bad, you got to accept it.
Oh boy, and it's completely beyond the fighter's control.
Absolutely.
Right? So fans, control. It's important, it's imperative, as the real bosses of boxing, okay? The fans, it's imperative that you understand this. Before you throw out this, bullshit ducking moniker, it's imperative that you understand that these fighters are not to blame for any of this. These guys are fearless, okay? So our brother Anthony, he says, Coach Ronnie, if Nonito decides to retire after this fight with the monster, where do you have him ranked in terms of the greatest fighters from 110 to 122? I should say 108 to 122.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I would have him in the top 5. Because, look, this guy, man, Nonito Donaire, in his own right, he's one of the best fighters ever to put on a pair of gloves.
Yep.
And he's proven that over and over and over. And even at 39 years old, when he won the title, he looked so good. And this is why I gave him a good shot against Inoue, because he looked so good in his last fight. But Inoue just showed he's just a complete monster. And, and that's it. I think, look, Donaire had a great career. And so every fighter in the world will want to try to have a career like him. So he has nothing to be ashamed of. At 39 years old, man, he did the best thing in the world, by competing at the top level in the sport of boxing.
Coach Ronnie, when have you ever heard of a 39-year-old able to make 118 and to compete at this level?
Absolutely. And that's what I'm saying. This guy,
he's a phenom. He's a freak of nature, guys.
Yes, he is.
So once again, Ronnie is justified in putting him in top 5 ATG. This is a freak of nature, guys. And Nonito, even though he lost to a brilliant fighter, pound for pound guy in his prime, he deserves his flowers.
Absolutely. No doubt.
And there it is. So, Coach, we've got an impromptu fact or fiction. Coach, will we eventually get Canelo versus Charlo? Fact or fiction?
Fiction.
Oh, no, don't say that. Oh,
No.
don't say that.
As much as I want that fight for my guy, I mean, all the signs are there. When Jermall was the mandatory Canelo, they made him franchise champion. Then he goes up in weight. Then you offer him $45 million to fight Jermall, and he turns it down. Instead, he moves up in weight, and gets beat by Bivol. Now he's going back down to his weight and going to fight Triple G. I mean, I just don't see it. I just don't see him in a fight with Jermall Charlo. So, we just have to move on and keep doing what we're doing.
Well, I will say this, Coach. When you've lost hope, that's when it always seems to happen. So
well, I've lost hope, I tell you that.
I can understand that, Coach. Let's move on to fact or fiction. Number 3, Bob Arum will offer George Kambosos Jr. step-aside money to make Devin Haney versus Vasyl Lomachenko in November. Fact or fiction?
That's facts.
Yes.
That's facts.
Yep. Coach, do you want to see a rematch between Haney and Kambosos?
Not at all. I don't think nobody else is either. I don't think the network's going to see that either.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it wasn't like it was a tit for tat kind of fight, It wasn't.
No.
It wasn't that close.
No.
So people are not going to get excited about the rematch. Why would people get excited about that? And I think Kambosos, he had to go back and look at his performance and say, man, damn, what did I do? What happened? After such a good fight with Lomachenko, now I come back like this, So, I just don't see it. And I think if they were smart, they would get in writing that he's definitely going to get the winner and then get paid for it.
Yep. I tell you what, though, regardless of how the fight played out, what a tremendous event in front of over 40,000 faithful at the Marvel Stadium in Melbourne, Australia. Tremendous event. And something tells me that it's coming up a little bit later on in Fact or Fiction. Number 4, Coach, Fact or Fiction, Terence Crawford will price himself out of an undisputed showdown with Errol Spence Jr. on Showtime pay-per-view. Fact or fiction?
I'm going to say fiction.
Thank you.
I'm going to say fiction because I really, truly believe he wants this fight. I really do believe they both want this fight. And I think both guys need it. They really need this fight, because listen, no matter who wins, both guys are going to go up in weight anyway. It's just a matter of time before they have to go up, because I know it's getting difficult for both guys to continue to make welterweight. And, and I just think that fight has to happen this year. Otherwise, it's not going to happen at all.
Yep, indeed. I'm sorry about that, Coach. I was refilling my water because it's 105 degrees here in San Antonio, Texas. My word.
I know.
Oh, geez. But, hey, guys, I hope you're staying cool where you guys are located. Thank you for watching the listening to the program and watching the show. And, guys, I understand and I see all of the questions popping up in the chat. But trust me, they're going to get addressed in Fact or Fiction. Just stay tuned, okay? Number 5, Coach. Newly crowned IBF champion at 130 pounds, Joe Cordina, will not unify the division with Shakur Stevenson ever. Fact or fiction?
That could be a fact.
Oh, well, so in case people don't understand why, please explain why.
He can't be Shakur.
Yep.
It's as simple as that. This
Look.
kid can't be Shakur Stevenson. He knows it. I mean, look. Top Rank can really offer him a lot of money that he can't refuse to do it. But I don't know. We just have to wait and see on that.
Look, Joe Cordina has a very bright future in the UK.
Yeah.
Being a huge ticket seller. Do you really think Eddie Hearn's going to want to risk that against Shakur Stevenson?
Hey, he want to risk everybody else. Why not him?
Well. Eddie Hearn may have a big ego, but he's not stupid, right?
Yeah,
and right. There it is. Number 6, Coach, Fact or Fiction. ESPN would attract more viewers if they showed more fighting and less Mark Kriegel. Fact or fiction?
Fact. Fact.
My word. I mean, can you, think about this. When you look at, guys, and I'm going to read this, it was just posted today that Haney Kambosos only averaged 1.3 million viewers, okay, on ESPN, and that's the flagship ESPN, not ESPN Plus, right? Now compare that to Lomachenko versus Lopez, which did, well, at peak, almost 3 million viewers, and in total, over 4 million, right?
Yep.
Okay, why is that? Okay, well, it becomes very disheartening when you're a viewer, okay, and you're waiting and you're hearing Tim Bradley, Mark Kriegel. You might as well hear Teddy Atlas at this point, right? And you're listening to these guys and you're not seeing any fight action. And when you do, it's Junior Fobb versus Lucas Brown. Come on, guys. I mean, something, once again, they need to be kinder to these fighters. Okay, everyone wants to see the fighters. They don't want to see Tim Bradley and Mark Kriegel.
No, they talk too much.
No, they talk too damn much. Have you ever seen, and think about this, Ronnie, when you go back to all of your years of watching all these great events, these time capsule events on HBO and Showtime, did you ever see that much talking between fights?
No.
No.
They always seem like they're trying to prove that they know more about the sport of boxing than everybody else.
Oh, geez. Oh, geez. Yeah, you know what? Mark, stuff it, brother. You're no Larry Merchant. That's all I'm going to say. All right? Ching out. Just, guys, come on. Less time between fights. And it's gonna bring more ratings. Okay, greater ratings. Number 7, Coach. August 20th is not enough time for Robert Garcia to make a difference in the outcome of the Anthony Joshua Alexander Usyk rematch. Fact or fiction?
Well, I'm gonna say fiction.
Really?
Look, Joshua got a lot of experience, and Robert Garcia got a lot of experience. And the other guy, Angel Fernandez, who I know, he has limited experience. But, this is boxing. It's not like, you're going out and try to do a fast draw or something.
Yep.
These guys, they know the sport. They know the game. They know how to put together game plans. And, he has way more than enough time in order to help to get Anthony Joshua ready. The thing about it is, ultimately, it's up to the fighter.
Mm-hmm.
The trainer, as a trainer, you can do all you can to show, to teach, to do this, do that, whatever. But it's up to the fighter to get in there and do what he know how to do. And he didn't do that the last time. So if he come out and fight the same fight he fought last time, then nobody did anything to change anything. But if he come out and be the person that we know he can be, then we can see a difference in everything. And I think that's what people are wanting to see. They want to see what is he going to do different and not come out and do what he did the last time. So, but I think they have way more than enough time to get him to be at the top of his game.
And there it is. Peter Von Ark says, it's 69 degrees here in Wisconsin. Well, aren't you the fortunate one, brother? It's 105 here in San Antonio. Ching, yeah. Oh, and our brother Scalebender says, oh, you saw Brown and Bob for a round and a half. Quit complaining. No, that's and welcome to the show, Scalebender. It's been a minute since you've graced us with your presence. But I will say this, that's the problem. More fighting, less Mark Kriegel. And there it is. And I tell you what, here's a question from my brother Anthony. He says, Coach Ronnie, who's your favorite referee in terms of most fair of the calling the fight down the middle? And what were your opinions of Mills Lane? Wow.
Well, I tell you this. You said it right there, Mills Lane. Mills Lane to me, is probably the best referee that I've ever seen. I mean, he really is a good referee. He was a really good referee. He was fair to everybody. He's one of the guys that didn't show any favoritism toward anybody. He didn't care. He called it like he saw it. And he wasn't afraid to discipline. You saw him with Mike Tyson and Holyfield. He wasn't afraid to discipline either one of them. And that's what you want. You want somebody in there that's going to be fair.
Yep.
And he was. But also Joe Cortez. Joe Cortez was one of my favorite referees also. He was really fair also. He wasn't afraid to let you know if you did something wrong. He wasn't afraid to say, hey, I'm going to take a point away from you, or I'm going to disqualify you, or whatever. And I think those two names to me were the best in the business.
Arthur Bacanti Sr., also Double S, Steve Smoger, also Frank Cappuccino. He's a guy, you know what? Steve Smoger and Frank Cappuccino, they might as well have just pulled up a lawn chair in the corner. Because it's like you never saw them in their fights.
and that's the mark of a good referee.
That's a mark of a good referee, unlike the guy that we saw from Panama, who was, in Haney Kambosos. Once again, did you see the point where both fighters bumped into the ref? Did you see that?
I don't remember that.
My word. Haplotype says, and welcome to the show, sir.
Yeah,
it's been a minute, Haplo. He says, I like Harvey Dock of the current guys. Yes, sir. Harvey Dock is a quality guy. Yes, he sure is. Scalebender says, Coach Ronnie, Joe has told us your cornerman inspiration is Tio Sr. Oh, stop it. Just stop it. No, look, man. Scalebender. Come on. That's the comic relief of the night. I tell you what, let's move on, Coach. Number 8, Fact or Fiction. Daniel Dubois will stop Trevor Bryan in one round to become the WBA regular heavyweight title holder, whatever the hell that means. Fact or fiction?
Fiction. I think Trevor, he can run for a couple rounds.
Oh, boy.
I think he may make it out of 2 or 3.
Oh, jeez.
It's going to be an ugly fight. Trust me. That's going to be ugly as hell. I wouldn't pay $30 to see that shit.
Oh, jeez. You're going to laugh me into coughing, Coach. So this weekend, June 10th, from Verona, New York on Showbox, we've got Bahadir Jalilov versus Jack Mulawai. Guys, that's a must-see TV. Also, June 11th, this Saturday, Edgar Berlanga versus Romir Alexis Angulo in a terrific matchup of super middleweights on ESPN. Also, Jaime Munguia versus Jimmy Kelly. No comment. Trevor Bryan versus Daniel Dubois on Fight TV on pay-per-view out of necessity because no network wanted to pick this up and pay the licensing fee. No comment as well. Coach, are you going to be watching any fight action this weekend, sir?
Probably my dog.
And there it is. Number 9, Fact or Fiction, Coach. Tank Davis will re-sign with Mayweather Promotions and fight Pitbull Isaac Cruz in a rematch later this year. Fact or fiction, sir?
Fiction.
Oh, gosh, I hope so. So what does Tank Davis do, sir?
Well, I think Tank do like Floyd did. He go out and promote himself. And, he's going to have plenty of guidance. And, it's easy to do. It's not like it's that difficult to do, He already got the contract with Showtime. So, that's half the battle right there. The other half the battle is having people that, and he's familiar with so many people in the sport to know how to promote a fight. He could make his own money. He could do his own thing. Floyd did it.
Yep.
Why can't he do it?
And there it is. And yes, if you look at Goldie Fishnets, well, his Twitter feed, he's all about now promoting Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis. Is that a sign of things to come later this year?
I don't know, man. We'll have to see about that because, again, you talk about 2 different networks again. But this may be an easier split because both guys are really popular. Ryan Garcia is really social media whore. And,
happy 10-year anniversary, Coach. Chingao. Oh, jeez.
So that split network might work for them.
Oh, and there you have it. And I tell you what, we're almost done with Fact or Fiction. But this is more like it, Scalebender. Thank you for this question. He says, Coach Ronnie, have you ever said anything in the corner and hoped the camera or mic didn't pick it up?
I never cared if it picked it up or not.
Yeah, just go back and look at Tyson versus Lennox Lewis. When you were telling everyone to shut the F up. Oh, I love it, Coach. And also our brother Sid UK. Thank you for joining us, sir. He says, Mayweather Promotions playing Tank's career like a Kardashian show. I ain't interested at this point. He's 27 and still fighting below his potential. I think he's 28, actually, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
And Scalebender says, Coach Ronnie, are you from Dallas or Houston?
I'm from Port Arthur, Texas.
And there it is. I want to give a shout out to our brother John McSmith. Salute Joe and Coach Shields. Salute to you, my friend. I tell you what, one more, Coach. We're at number 10. Fact or fiction? Bernard Hopkins' induction speech at the IBHOF will be over an hour in length. Fact or fiction?
That could be a fact. See? God damn. I was telling him to put him on first. Put him on first or last. Don't put him on
I tell you what, though, this is the first ever, right, where they're actually inducting 3 years in one weekend, right? And so let me get your take on this, Coach. Who are you most looking forward to being inducted? And once again, the class of 2020 is going to be Bernard Hopkins, Juan Manuel Marquez, Shane Mosley, Christy Martin, Lucia Riker, Barbara Butrick, Frank Earn, Patty Ryan, Big Lou DiBella, Kathy Duva, Dan the Man Goosen, Bernard Fernandez, and Thomas Hauser. Class of 2021, Vladimir Klitschko, Floyd Mayweather Jr., Andre Ward, Layla Ali, Ann Wolf, Marion Tremere, Jackie Tonawanda, Davey Moore, Freddie Brown, Dr. Margaret Goodman, Jackie McCoy, God rest his soul, George Kimball, and Jay Larkin. Now the class of 2022, Miguel Cotto, Roy Jones Jr., it's about effing time. James Toney, it's about effing time. Regina Halmich, Holly Holm, Todd Morgan, Bill Kaplan, it's about effing time. Chuck Hull, Ron Borges, and Bob Yallen. Boy, that was a mouthful. Who are you most looking forward to this weekend being inducted into the Canastota, the hallowed halls of the International Boxing Hall of Fame, sir?
Well, I got two of them, two of my favorites, Andre Ward and James Toney.
Yes, James Lights Out Toney. Can you believe he was snubbed last year?
Yeah, he was at my gym a couple of weeks ago, and he was so happy, man. I was happy for him.
Yep.
Because this kid, man, well, not kid, but this man, he fought everybody,
Yep.
And he just went up and kept going up in weight. Nobody gave him a chance at heavyweight. And he really beat Evander like nobody's ever beat him. And, Evander was getting older, but still, James Toney, man, he deserves it. He deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. And so does Andre Ward. Andre Ward, perhaps one of the best fighters ever to put on a pair of gloves.
Yep.
Never disrespected anybody. Always a very respectful man to everybody, and he really deserved to be in the Hall of Fame also. And I'm so happy I'm happy for everybody that got in, but those two guys are my two favorites.
Yeah, and he beat everybody, Coach.
He did. He beat everybody.
So very quick question, right? Who wins in a pound-for-pound showdown at 168 pounds, Andre Ward or Joe Calzaghe?
Andre Ward.
Wow.
Absolutely, Andre Ward.
So you think the Andre Ward jab would be too much for Joe Calzaghe?
Without a doubt.
Tell you what, that would be a great fight, Coach.
Oh, it would have been. Absolutely.
Oh, I tell you what, Sid UK has the beat. He says, with all due respect now, he says, wish Joshua had picked Coach Ronnie for the rematch. Sometimes people forget you get a cheap quote due to quality of work. I like Garcia's, but they don't have the heavyweight experience. Sorry from the UK, Coach. And I tell you what, always insightful. Thank you, Sid UK, for being a part of the show. But can you explain that, please? Training, lower weight fighters and training heavyweight fighters, that's a completely different animal, isn't it, Coach?
Oh, my God, it is. It's completely different. And I find with heavyweights, you got to treat them with kid gloves, You really do. But the smaller guys, they're animals,
Yep.
And, they're willing to do more for you than the bigger guys. But you have to coax the bigger guys into doing certain things. And, you got to get them to believe in themselves. And believe it or not, they could be the best fighters ever, but still, the bigger guys mentally are as strong as the smaller guys.
Wow. Tell you what, that is so insightful. Thank you so much, Coach, for that. Yeah, I tell you what, so correct me if I'm wrong, or maybe you can answer this question. How many heavyweights has Robert Garcia trained?
None.
Oh, geez. And there you have it. We want to thank you for joining us at the tail end of the show, Mr. Carl Crocodile Hunter Hansen. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. Oh, geez. Antonio Luna says, Charlie Zelenoff for 2023. Chingow. Don't tell Deontay Wilder about that. Anthony says, Coach Ronnie, I'm not sure if you agree with this, but I feel that AJ made a big mistake in going Robert Garcia because it's a whole different animal training heavyweights. Well, he just answered that. Yeah. Oh, boy. And once again, Robert Garcia is a great guy and an excellent trainer. And he's a very aggressive-minded, offensive-minded trainer. But, boy, I mean, look, when you're showing heavyweights to attack the body, how realistic is that, Coach?
Oh, that's pulling teeth.
Look, unless you've got David Tua or Ike Ibeabuchi, that's not going to happen. Jeez. Oh, jeez. IB says, why did he pick Robert Garcia? Did he tell him what he wanted to hear? Look, guys, let's just wait to see how it plays out on August 20th, or hopefully it's August 20th. My word. But, Coach, it looks like that's just about it. I will say this, guys. I hope you enjoyed Ronnie's new theme song. It goes back to a time where Ronnie was just an amateur fighter back 1977, and that was Oh Honey by The Delegation. Do you remember that song, Ronnie?
I don't. Actually, I don't.
You don't remember this song?
No, I couldn't hear it because on my end it wasn't playing.
Okay, well, I tell you what, we're going to play it, and we're going to send us home with this. But, Ronnie, do you have any parting shots for our listening audience on this 10th anniversary edition of War Week Radio?
Keep supporting War Week Radio, and you can always follow me at Official Ronnie Shields.
And, guys, we're going to be on Boxing TV exclusively starting in 2 weeks. Thank you so much, Boxing TV. And thank you so much, Ronnie, for coming back to the show, sir. Guys, on behalf of the legendary fight trainer, Ronnie Shields, I'm Joseph Herron. You've been listening to War Week Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening, everybody.
Health Texas and Halftime Pizza proudly present Real Boxing with legendary fight trainer Ronnie Shields.